this neighborhood. So we want to talk about the region, the musicians, and Norman Petty, and you can't talk about Norman Petty without talking about Buddy Holly. So we've assembled quite a panel here, and I'll go ahead and introduce the panel. Everybody's heard of Peggy Sue, the song Peggy Sue. There she is, live in the past. And there was a place called The Hut here in Ruidoso that was one of the first places I came to, and I heard the Yardbirds play. The guy on the full circle also, and he's what I call a music historian. He's got a website, and he keeps track of everybody. His name is Rick Kern. The next person is a guy I spent a lot of time with. The next person, I think everybody knows. And I guess what I want to do is...
Okay, well, my name is George Tomsko. I'm lead guitar player for the Fireballs. Come on, Stan. This is Stan Lark, another one of the originals since 1958. We've been buddies. He's the best bass player and vocalist, and he does a great job of PR work. And then we got Raton via Los Angeles via Raton. He's a keyboard player and guitar player. And then the newest member of our band is, with the guy with the biggest voice, is our drummer, Mr. Chris Segura. Come on out here, Chris, and say hi to the people. Okay, and that's the Fireball so far.
Thank you so much, George. George was very accommodating, and everybody's been very, very sentiment about carrying on this tradition. I want to open it up. Maybe we'll just start with Peggy Sue. Is that okay? All right, why don't we...
Bigham. He's one of the original Roses. Why don't you come up here?
Come on up.
Yeah.
Up here. He was tardy, Rich. He just now got here. So,
no problem.
But he's one of the original Roses, and of course the Bowman brothers also backed up Buddy Holly. The Pigs did for a while, and then the Roses came along, and that would be this gentleman right here.
Clovis in 1957 with a guy named Roy Orbison, and we went up there twice, and on the second visit. But anyway, after we got to Clovis, we got to record with Buddy Knox, who did Party Doll, and then Buddy Holly, of course, and then there was a guy that you might know named Waylon Jennings. We were on the first recording that he ever made.
We're still at the studio also.
Yeah,
so if you're in Clovis, you can go by the Norman Petty studio and walk through it. Everybody will enjoy that if you haven't done it. I, on the other hand, am not an in-depth part of our real lives every day. It didn't have so much to do with the entertaining, because we all know the discographies and how many records have been recorded and the genius of Norman Petty producing it. But I got to know all these people as real people. There were very few producers back then. We had Bob Keane that was near his mom and dad, and he had toured with his young, beautiful wife, who was a very talented person. And I was going out the back door to the band room, located next to auto mechanics. Such prestige we had for the musicians. And as I was leaving the back door, this young man was coming in. He had a guitar in one hand and an amp in the other, and he just knocked me flat on my rear. I mean, my petticoats were just everywhere. And my books just scattered. And I was mortified because I was a sophomore. I was new.
Well, actually north of a community called Chorne.
Now a resident of Ruidoso. He's been extremely helpful to me, and I really appreciate it.
It's an honor and a privilege to be here with you all today. I'm the young one of the panel up here. I'll try to bring the average down a little bit, but thank you for doing this today, Rich. It's great to honor this man and his wife. They really set the standard high in the industry back in those days. I didn't have the opportunity of recording at the Petty Studios. I did all my recording out in Hollywood and in Cincinnati, but a little bit about me. I'm a retired drummer, vocalist, and had Las Vegas show bands for quite a few years on the road. And I was very blessed in my time of being a performer, of working with the likes of Jim Reese from the Bobby Fuller Four. He was with my group for 5 years. And Mark Cianfrani from California. He's a He's a cop today, but about 3 or 4 years ago, he was a musical director for the Temptations and played guitar with them, and I was fortunate to work with him for a year. And without boring you with all the others, there's so many names. I got out of the business and entered the 8 to 5 business world in El Paso. Things started happening. You know, I lost track of all my old friends and where have they gone, and I got to thinking, you know, no one's ever done this in El Paso, and I think I'm going to try it and see how it goes. So I decided to put together a website. It's called musiciansofelpaso.com, and I started getting hold of a few of my old buddies, you know, Mike Ciccarelli out in California, and Randall Fuller, and all these guys, telling them about what I was going to do, and they thought this is kind of a neat idea. I started getting pictures. I first put the pictures up of my bands and some of our stories and some of our recordings and videos and things, and then I started getting response from the other players, you know, and like Dalton Powell and all these great friends and musicians in the industry that were still playing, and they wanted to share their stories and their pictures with the world. And that was my main goal in putting this site together, was to do something that's not been done, and that is to keep the legacy and keep the stories and the pictures and all the good information out there, not the bad information, just the good information. And it has worked. For the last 9 months, I started this thing about 9 months ago, and I now have 410 posts of pictures and stories and music and everything on my site. And the El Paso Times was kind to me recently, and they did a feature story, and that's helped me a lot. I'm getting a lot more hits on my site. I've had the musicians, Texas Musicians Museum out of Hillsboro, Texas, contact me. They want to do a link exchange with me. It's getting very exciting now because I'm starting to get the attention nationally that I've been wanting to get about the musicians of El Paso and what we do. And that encompasses up here. I mean, it's not just El Paso, it's regionally and then nationally, because the musicians are scattered all over the country now. I'm talking to guys in Ireland, I'm talking to people that are just visiting my kids in Austin with my wife. I get this phone call. And you know, I was told, you know, about my site, you know, how much he enjoyed it and everything. And he said, you know, I want to hook up with this guy that used to play drums out of El Paso. And he played with Buddy Holly in 1958. And I said, I can take care of that for you. And I knew who he was talking about because he saw the picture on my site that this drummer had given to me to share with my site. And so I hooked the two up. And next thing I know, I'm getting a phone call from the drummer, and he was all excited about the fact that he and Bill Griggs got to meet each other, and they're still going to get together personally, but they met for the first time on the phone because of my connection with showing this picture of him playing with Buddy Holly in 1958. And so what had happened was this gentleman, Bill Griggs, had a pay receipt signed by Buddy, that was, I think, left in the motel room or something where they were at, and it somehow ended up with Bill Griggs, who was quite a collector of Buddy Holly memorabilia, and he wanted to make sure that this gentleman got the copy of this receipt, and it's posted on my site right now. This drummer I'm talking to is a real dear friend of mine. He goes way back with me, and all of the musicians in this room know him. We've all bought, you know, our equipment from him through the years. His name is Danny Lucas McDaniel, and he's with us today, everybody. I'd like to give you an applause to Danny over here. Step out here, Dan. Danny Lucas. One of the great drummers, and he's got so many great stories, and I'm just so glad you came up the hill today to be a part of this, Dan. It's really neat having you here. Anyway, that's pretty much, I could sit here for an hour and talk, but I've been told by Richard to keep it short, so I think I'm going to pass it on unless you have any questions or anything.
I think what we're going to do is, it's going to be a logistical challenge to go between bands. So right between bands, we'll have a question and answer period while we're changing equipment.